Hello Laziali all over the world. Welcome to another episode of Lazio Lounge. I'm Vittorio Campanile, with me as usual, Alistair McKenzie. Alistair, we said that Lazio was going to play five very important matches, five matches that Lazio could win and improve the table. We started with Crotone. It was a very difficult match, not because Crotone is a great team, but for the condition and who Lazio played, especially because without Milinkovic Savic, Lazio didn't have probably the most suited player to play in that condition, right? I don't know. Playing with Luis Alberto is completely different under the rain.
What are you trying to suggest? Sergey is a qualified scuba diving instructor.
Yeah, I saw your tweet and I didn't want to reply to, but you are probably too young. But the first thing I thought is, for 20 years, Juventus fan complain about Perugia Juventus, saying that the condition was awful. Now Lazio played probably in a worse condition than that, because Perugia wasn't in that condition. Crotone was under the water, street were closed, airport, we're going to talk about that later, were closed, and so on. And still the match went on. And, Juventus fan 20 years complain about that. And Lazio show that even under the rain, if you're the best team, you find a way to win.
Well, yeah, that was it. I mean, it's thankfully a game we've managed to come away from with a win, and a pretty comfortable one. Actually, to be honest, considering the conditions, I thought Lazio actually played relatively well. They actually kind of stuck to their style in a way that I was surprised by, to be honest. I think that it's quite easy to completely change your style when you're up against it like that. I remember seeing somebody on Twitter at the time, I can't remember who it was now, so I can't credit them, but saying that it was the ultimate example of the fact that this is the show must go on season. Basically, we have to get fixtures done, because especially for Champions League teams or teams involved in Europe, there's just not enough time to be postponing matches. And to be honest, Victoria, I was convinced that game shouldn't have gone ahead, especially after the way the pitch looked in the opening, say, 20 minutes or so, until it basically stopped raining. The rain was coming down so heavily that the ball just wasn't moving. And it's kind of dangerous as well for the players' safety, playing in those conditions. Another point that was being raised at the time was that to put on the game meant that they were going to have to bring members of the emergency services to the stadium who could otherwise be used actually helping the town, which was completely flooded. So I wasn't convinced that it was the best idea to play a game of football, but they managed. They managed just about. The goals were actually quite good, though.
Yeah, and the first 20 minutes, the ball didn't bounce where Radu was playing. I noticed it quite often. And the other thing you didn't mention, the wind. The wind was quite heavy. I remember in the second half, a couple of long balls of Reina suddenly stopped in midair. And that can be very annoying for goalkeeper, but as well can break your way of playing football. So it was really hard to perform, to play football in that condition. So again, thinking that just a couple of days later that there were going to be a very important match against Zenit for the Champions League, you could even imagine that Lazio player would think to not get hurt on Saturday and focus on the match afterwards, like probably they did against Sampdoria. So I thought this, again, Crotone is not a great team. I think they have very little chance to not get relegated. But this condition proved that Lazio has the right mentality to achieve great results. We don't talk about Atalanta, but again, before Champions League, Atalanta didn't win a match that, everybody could expect them to see them win. So, Champions League waste energy even like that. Before the match, you're already looking forward to the Champions League match, and you lose focus for what you have ahead. So I think this was overall a very good performance for Lazio.
Yeah, absolutely. agree with all of that. I think that we're seeing more and more examples. We've talked about it already of this Lazio team definitely having not lost that kind of attitude and motivation and team spirit that was so important to their success last season. And we're now seeing it again when we're up against it with players missing and the COVID crisis and all this. And so many stories and controversies flying around all the time. Flying around being a good choice of words there. Yeah, I mean, it was a good opportunity for that team to kind of show what they're made of once again, and they did, and relatively easily. I mean, I have to say it wasn't really a game at which I really had huge concerns at any point. Lazio dominated it. They scored two very good goals, one in either half, and you know, as routine as they come, really, at the end of the day. I was very impressed with Marco Parolo. I made a joke about him being half man, half fish, because he seemed to absolutely come to life in those conditions. I don't know what happened to him. He looked like the youngest man on the pitch. But yeah, I mean, yeah, we have to be very happy with it. We also have to applaud once again, as we so often have since we started this podcast, Ciro Immobile, because he's gone and scored another goal. Obviously, we've got used to that, but now he's equalled Pepe Signori, 107 goals, second top scorer in Serie A in Lazio's history. My question to you now, Vittorio, is he going to catch Silvio Piola, 143?
Well, it's people already last season was saying a couple of years and Ciro will catch Silvio Piola, which, you know, if you think about it, it's unbelievable, because it's not that Ciro is with this team, 10 years ago. He's just so it's incredible what he did in 4 years with Lazio. So it's unbelievable. And Alistair, with all that happened to him in the last 2 weeks, I thought he played incredibly well. He could have been so nervous, so anxious, and at the same time, thinking back of what newspaper said about him, media said as well, had a little bit against Ciro Immobile. Instead, he was calm, relaxed. He was the usual Ciro Immobile, and it's very important, because one thing is there are a lot of talented players, Ravel Morrison, it's a very talented player, but he's not a great player. He never performed like that. So it's not only talent, it's even the mental condition. And Ciro proved that was able, to isolate himself, focus only on the match, and have a great performance.
Yeah, absolutely. That's easier said than done as well, because of the length of time that he'd been out. He'd only just returned to training, let alone getting out of his house. So, what a header it was as well. It was a brilliant header. I mean, it's amazing to think that we've spent all this time talking about how Marici's been brought in for his headers, and then Ciro goes and does that. But no, I mean, I think that really the guy is he's just a machine, a goal machine. And we have to say as well, for any Lazio out there who's unaware of this yet, he's been nominated for World Player of the Year at the Globe Soccer Awards, which is a big kind of Dubai-based event for Player of the Year for 2020. And it's a public vote. I don't know if it's just a public vote, is it? But you can go on the website and vote for Ciro. So please do. I've already done it from 2 devices today. So
yeah, it's very important to remember that if you do it from your laptop, you still can do it again from your mobile phone, iPad, etc. And if you do the day afterwards, again, you can do it another time. So go, because Ciro needs your help. About this whole Alistair, I know you are aware of it, but they're doing even the century team and things like that. I voted Real Madrid, but it looks like the Al Ahly is dominating this this poll with 68%. It's so funny. Al Ahly 68, Real Madrid 15. So
wow. Well, I mean, this is why I always kind of have my doubts about.
Yeah,
I don't think there's any perfect system, but I feel like you have to at least have some sort of judging panel as well as a public vote instead of entire. This is a problem, especially nowadays. If Messi and Ronaldo were involved in the votes, they've got their fanboys all over the world. When I went onto it this morning, first thing, Ciro was doing quite well. He was in second place behind Ronaldo, but now I expect he's probably dropped a bit further down. But we'll see. But no, it's just an amazing. It's good to get that acknowledgement, even if it is just a nomination. Just the acknowledgement that he is. If you look at the short list of players that he's alongside, it's World Cup winners and the biggest kind of stars on the continent, and Ciro for it. So even though he doesn't get the credit he deserves inside of Italy, it's nice to see him getting it outside of Italy.
definitely, definitely. And we have to talk about Luis Alberto as well, Alistair, because if it was a complicated week for Ciro Immobile, we have to say that it was very similar for Luis Alberto. There were a lot of rumors that Lotito didn't want him to play against Crotone and wanted to punish him. Peruzzi and Inzaghi tried to convince Claudio Lotito that was the wrong move, that he should be punished and receive a big fee, etc. But still, Lazio needed him, especially with Milinkovic Savic out. And so Luis Alberto played. I thought, especially in this condition, it was quite hard for Luis Alberto, but he played well. And, sometimes signals are more powerful than words. Seeing finishing with as a captain of Lazio, I think that was a statement from Simone Inzaghi. So I thought that was a really important message. Now the problem is that Peruzzi and Lotito had a big fight, and Peruzzi was so upset that didn't follow the team for the first time to Crotone. There's gonna be a meeting this week to discuss how things can go further, but I think Peruzzi is a very important part of Lazio's puzzle, and I hope he stays. So we're gonna monitor the situation. But this is the latest.
Yeah, and it's worth pointing out we did have a question on this from Secret Samadhi about the story, and he was also wanting to know if there's any truth in this rumor that Lotito and Tare were looking to then sell Luis Alberto, which it doesn't sound like there is, to be honest. I mean, Inzaghi seems to think this is being dealt with now. De Martino came out and said it's case closed already, so I think we are moving on. Everyone's kind of said the same thing, which is he made a mistake and he was stupid, but he's a great player and he's important to Lazio, and we move on. I think the Peruzzi thing is quite interesting, just because it's kind of what we were talking about before when we last discussed Peruzzi. I can't remember when that was. It feels like it was quite recently. The fact that on this case, it doesn't feel right for Lotito to be interfering with the role of Inzaghi, and getting in the way of him doing his job properly. Yep. So for me, that the whole thing is just a case of that underlines exactly why we need Peruzzi. And you've spoken before about the important work he does behind the scenes to keep, as supposed to be that mediator maybe between the hierarchy of the club and the playing squad. And that's really important. So I really hope that they can get over it. I mean, Inzaghi was asked about it earlier, I saw. I did write down his comments. Where were they? He said this. He said, in every family and club there can be misunderstandings. I'm convinced that they can be resolved as they have in the past. So Inzaghi seems to think that everything is going to be okay.
Yeah, and talking about Angelo Peruzzi, I think he's very important for the club. Let's not forget that, and Luis Alberto said it, after Luis Alberto made that public statement, Peruzzi was the first to contact the player and said, hey, this is completely wrong, you have to apologize. And Luis Alberto said it. Angelo Peruzzi prepared him a statement who he didn't read, obviously, but apologized for what he said. The other thing is, I don't know if you remember Lazio before Angelo Peruzzi. Do you remember all the problems we had with Biglia, Candreva, Keita as well? So people are not aware, but thanks to Angelo Peruzzi, all these problems that Lazio had in the past are gone. if someone behave badly, there's immediately Angelo Peruzzi there to stop it. Because you have to say that Tare is very good when it's up to transfer market, but in relationship, he's not famous to be very good. He's quite a tough person to deal with, and doesn't react very well often. So Angelo Peruzzi is perfect, and he's done an amazing job. No complaints in the last 4 years. No childish behavior as we were used to see in the past. So this is the importance of Angelo Peruzzi. He doesn't like to speak a lot, but he acts behind the scene, and that's very important because makes the job of Simone Inzaghi much easier. So he's really important for the club and for the players, because obviously Tare and Lotito are far away and Peruzzi is there to help them. So one of the things they have to discuss is, as you were saying, is Peruzzi has a role and Lotito cannot intervene and say, oh, you have to do like this, because obviously it's Peruzzi, the face of the club for the players. So we know that Lotito can be someone who wants to intervene, wants to do a lot of things, but he has to keep the distance. So this is very important, I think, for the future of the club.
Yeah, and it's in a way it's actually encouraging to see that he's willing to stand up to Lotito, because I think Lotito, being the character he is and being quite hard-nosed a lot of the time, I think it does take big characters or brave characters to be able to stand up to that. So I think it's important to have someone in there who will. Another just behind-the-scenes comment before we move on to the Champions League or anything. Another behind-the-scenes comments, we got a couple from Joey Chami. First of all, was about any updates on the investigation into the COVID protocol breach, saying everything went quiet. It has, because they're still investigating. I mean, do you have anything to add on that?
It has gone quiet because Gazzetta understood that they completely got it wrong, basically, because they accused Lazio to do the procedure completely wrong, to do the wrong things with the analysis. And after just a couple of days, it was clear that it was Gazzetta completely wrong. So they went quiet because they couldn't insist. Plus, we know that Lazio, and I don't know if this is a good thing, because Lazio lawyers have won no cause at the moment. So, but Lazio have officially opened a complaint with Gazzetta dello Sport for this behavior. So we're waiting. Today, it looks like all the procedure, all the inspection has finished. But again, it's very important to understand that it's not Lazio under the investigation, but if someone is under investigation, is the clinic in Avellino that have done all those tests for Lazio. So Lazio has nothing to fear of, and it's clear that this was a type of attack that Gazzetta tried against Lazio for no reason. In the meantime, Roma had 5 players positive and no one said nothing. Torino, Fiorentina, and so on, but Gazzetta didn't write a line. So we're gonna wait and see what happens. But it's gone silent because everybody understood. And the good thing of this, Alistair, is that, and this is quite surprising, we read a lot of other Italian websites, usually involving politics, start saying, hey, what's going on with the Gazzetta and Lazio? Why Gazzetta is attacking Lazio every single time? And people have brought out that Cairo hates Lotito, that Lotito is Cairo's enemy. And suddenly, Corriere della Sera and Gazzetta dello Sport are attacking Lotito. The last attack has been this weekend with the airplane. I mean, we've been talking about Crotone weather condition, road have been closed, airport have been closed. And still, on Gazzetta dello Sport and Corriere della Sera, that is the most famous Italian newspaper, on Sunday morning, you could find an article saying that it's embarrassing, the plane of Lazio didn't get back to Rome because it was old. No, it didn't get back to Rome because Cosenza airport was closed. None airplane flew from Crotone on Saturday night. So, and this is another awful attack, very silly attack against Claudio Lotito. I mean, if you want to attack Lotito, I think me and Alistair have plenty of other things that you could use to attack Claudio Lotito, but this is simply nonsense.
There's your answer. Yeah, I mean, the plane stuff is just, to be honest, just had me shaking my head for the last few days because it's just amazing how long this can drag out for. It's just a plane. But yeah, the weather conditions, anyone who saw that game could get an idea of what the weather conditions were like. It's not very difficult. And, you know, if players are scared during landing, it's because of the weather. It's not because of the plane. I'd be terrified if I was in the safest plane in the world and I was going through a storm and needing 3 attempts before I land. So yeah, it's just normal human behavior. I don't really want to talk about it that much because it's just frustrating.
The incredible thing is, I think we already talked about it. This plane won't allow Lazio to win the Scudetto or the Champions League, but it's simply unbelievable how the fans of the other team have reacted so badly. This plane really killed a lot of Roma fans. They simply couldn't accept it. But why? I mean, again, it's Lazio won't win the Scudetto thanks to the plane. It's a smart marketing operation, I would say. But it's unbelievable how Roma fans, Inter fans as well, Milan fans, simply couldn't accept it because that Lazio was the first Italian team to do it. I mean, that's simply incredible. Again, it's not, I don't know, Messi comes to Lazio. No, it's a plane.
Yeah, I know. It did make me laugh when someone tagged us in a post linked to a story today just saying that now Roma are wanting to copy Lazio's idea and get their own plane. Anyway, enough about the plane. It's a Champions League week, so let's have a look ahead to that a little bit. It's we've just had an international break, so that's taken a bit of the momentum away from the Champions League, I'd say. So let's get back to where we were. 3 games in, 5 points, second place. Zenit at home, though, Vittorio, is probably, I would argue, the make or break game in terms of whether we qualify.
Definitely. Lazio has to win this. Definitely has to win it. Against Club Brugge away and Zenit away, Inzaghi had a lot of player missings. 2 points were overall a good result, but this one is the match you have to win, because if you win against Zenit, then it's not done, but especially if Borussia Dortmund beats Club Brugge, it's pretty much over. You go in Germany just to, fight for the first position, maybe get a draw to be qualified officially. So yeah, it's definitely a match Lazio has to win. Inzaghi will have, except Milinkovic, Savic and Strakosha, all the players, all the starting lineup. So this is good. Zenit, we already saw, it's not an incredible team. I think it's probably the worst Zenit of the last 10 years. So Lazio has a big chance to win it. And probably this is the first key moment of the season, Alistair. I think in the Serie A, you still have a lot of matches to recover. Champions League, this is the turning point. You win against Zenit, you're probably qualified. If you don't win, then it becomes very, very difficult, because afterwards you have Borussia Dortmund away and it's a very complicated match and you have to get points, and then you're probably having the playoff against Club Brugge.
Well, yeah, I was going to say, so I mean, obviously it's a lot will kind of depend on the result in the other game in terms of the importance of this result in a way. But for example, if Lazio can win, but then if Dortmund can also win, that opens up a 4-point gap over Club Brugge.
Yes.
And I guess you'd expect Dortmund to beat Bruges, especially the way they've been playing at the moment. I mean, Erling Haaland scored 4 goals on the weekend. I don't know if you saw that. So, yeah, I mean, it's a massive game. I feel like after seeing the game in Russia, the team will not know that they don't have anything to fear from this Zenit side. They'll know that at home they've really got a good chance of getting the result they need. They're also in a much better condition, I would say, going into this than they were in the last game. We've had, let me just find this, Stephen Scarpullo was asking us for a perspective on the selection. we can talk a bit about the lineup and then also about Zenit's form and injuries and all these kind of things. But starting with Lazio, I mean, it's worth saying Luis Felipe has tested negative now, so he's back. Whether or not he'll be starting, Inzaghi said he'll have to work that out day by day. Milinkovic-Savic tested positive on the international break. We're going to have to wait. I doubt he'll be involved unless something crazy happens very late. And the other thing Inzaghi mentioned today was that Strakosha is back training, but he's not ready to start yet, so Reina will be in goals. So, so what kind of a team are you thinking we'll see?
Well, Inzaghi didn't say too much, but I think Reina will start in goal. I think the three-man defense would be... I think Luis Felipe could play. So Luis Felipe, Acerbi, who was I thinking? Patrick could be, because Radu usually doesn't play twice a week. And then I think Marusic will start instead of Fares and Lazzari on the other side. And I think Leiva and Luis Alberto, obviously. And for me, Akpa Pro could start instead of Milinkovic-Savic, who had another great match last Saturday. And then in front, I would go with Correa, Immobile, especially now that Correa looks to have improved his form. He scored his first goal in Serie A. He already scored in Champions League. So yeah, I think this could be the starting team.
Yeah, I agree. Supposedly Fares isn't 100% either at the moment. I did wonder if Marco Parolo did enough in that first half to get a start in this game as well. Inzaghi does love him, and he was really good in that first half against Crotone. But yeah, I mean, Akpakro, it's amazing to think we have these options to choose from. I'm quite happy with either of them. I mean, Akpakro, by the way, I don't know if you saw, but he gave an interview to a French channel. I think it was today, actually, or yesterday. It was quite interesting. He was talking about how he got released by Toulouse and basically was left in the wilderness looking for a club for 6 months, and talks about his career and basically says that when Salernitana came, Lotito told him if he signed for Salernitana, he'd have the chance to sign for Lazio later on if he played well. Which made me wonder how often Lotito says that to people when he's shopping for Salernitana. Probably quite a lot.
In the translation I read, he didn't. Lotito wasn't mentioned, but someone else was mentioned about that. But
all right.
But still, obviously for a player that has been 6 months without a club, and probably at the beginning, Alistair, I don't know if you read mistakes, because he said no to a couple of good teams because he was hoping to get a bigger offer from others ones. And then, he didn't find nothing. So, he was smart enough, I would say, to accept Salernitana because Lazio was behind him and had a great chance. It was funny that he was the captain of Toulouse, and they let him go like that. That was annoying for someone like him. So yeah, and again, every time he plays, he convinced me more every time I see him. So I think this could be a very good signing.
Yeah, and of course, the last Champions League game he played at the Olimpico, scores a winning goal. So. Yeah. It's very exciting, I think, to have the games back in Rome again as well, because back-to-back away games in the Champions League is tough. But I don't know, I'm quite excited about it. It's weird. I find this November international break really knocks you off your stride a little bit in terms of the momentum of the season, and it's obviously not been particularly brilliant for us because Milinkovic-Savic has ended up picking up the virus while he was away. But at the same time, like we say, we do have a kind of stronger squad overall than we did before. I saw earlier today that one of the options Zenit have available to them again is a former Roma great, Malcolm. Do you remember him?
Yeah, one of the best signings, right?
Malcolm, who, in case anyone's forgotten, basically agreed to sign for Roma until at the last minute Barcelona offered him a deal, and he said, well, actually, that sounds better, and he went to Barca instead. I mean, to all intents and purposes, doesn't sound like the most consistent or brilliant player anyway. But I also had been completely unaware of this story about Artem Dzyuba. I don't know if you saw this. This is 2 weeks old now, but I only found out about it today with him. How do I put this? Releasing a video of him pleasuring himself.
But that was 2 weeks ago that he has been dropped by the national team. You were so focused on Scotland that you didn't read nothing else, huh?
No, I completely missed that story. It's amazing. So apparently he's had the captaincy taken off him. I did see that they drew on the weekend though, with Akhmat. So yeah, they're not coming in on the back of a win.
No.
Yeah, again, we've said it before, where it's a big club, Zenit. They're the top seed in the group, all of this, lots of Champions League experience. But I think you're right, we don't have anything to fear. There's nothing that impressive about this team. They don't look too good from what we've seen so far.
If the striker will play again, they have a very tall striker that created some problems in the away game. So I think that's the main problem for Lazio. Especially if you remember, Zenit goal was a mistake from Lazio defender. So that's the main focus. I mean, obviously it's a Champions League match, and it's not going to be that easy. You have to be focused, concentrate. Zenit has international experience much more than Lazio. So Lazio is favorite for me, but they have to be concentrate, because in a Champions League match, a mistake can cost you everything. So yes, Lazio's favorite, and we don't know, Alistair, as well, how Zenit will come to Rome. I mean, they're pretty much out of the Champions League, so maybe they will do a massive turnover, or players will be focusing on the league match next weekend. So, but still, Lazio has to perform at its best, and I think if they do, Lazio can win it.
Well, yeah, but I mean, you say that. I don't think they're not out of the Champions League yet, and for them, this is actually really a must-win game. If you think about it, if they win this match, they're then 1 point away from qualifying for the next round, as long as Dortmund win as well. So they're far from out of it. But I think that for them, this is probably an even bigger game than it is for Lazio in a way, because they're fighting for their survival in the competition. But even so, I'm feeling relatively. I mean, I don't want to say confident, because whenever I say that, we have a terrible result. But I'm feeling okay.
Well, we're gonna see. There's the match tomorrow, so guys, we'll be back after the match for our usual Champions League live. Again, if you want to subscribe to our podcast, you know where to find us. And thank you again for your support. And we're gonna talk after the Champions League match.
Cheers.